Boy, we talked a lot about cheese, and then we cheesed it up with Paul for a heck of a long time, did we not?
I feel like I've carried a baby to term at this point.
Well, it just so happens that we have someone who could help you in that respect. Leah Potter, Program Director of Family Choice Surrogacy. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for waiting.
Thank you for waiting. It's been a long trip today.
I was interested in the cheese. It was great.
We're all here for the cheese, really, and this is just an added bonus that we get to talk to you.
Oh, so you're joining us from Family Choice Surrogacy. Can you tell us a little bit about the company and about your background as it relates to Family Choice Surrogacy?
Sure. So Family Choice Surrogacy is a full-service surrogacy agency, and we match gestational surrogates with intended parents. And just to give you a little bit of information about my background, so my background is in business and human resources leadership. And then I went through my own infertility journey. And during that journey, I just felt very alone. It was complex, it was emotional, and we didn't know it at the time, but we were fortunate enough to have a healthy child out of our infertility journey. So after that, I really just felt that I wanted to help other families who were going through that same journey. And so I started working at a local law firm who specializes in reproductive law. And we were able to help families all across the world recognize their dreams of becoming parents. And from there, what I noticed is that Indiana was often seen as not necessarily a surrogacy-friendly state from outside the state. Many people thought that it didn't happen here for a myriad of reasons. But I just really felt that passion for helping families grow. And once I was able to see our clients realize their dreams of becoming parents, I knew that I really needed to explore my passion even further. So this has been a long time in the making, and we launched last year.
That's incredible.
Oh, my gosh.
And you've helped families not even just in Indiana, but throughout the world. So can you tell us kind of about your services that you offer and kind of what a family getting involved in this can expect if they come to Family Choice Surrogacy?
Sure. So first of all, we find and qualify gestational surrogates. And I just kind of want to tell you a little bit, if you don't know about surrogacy, there are two different types.
Yes,
primarily.
unpack all of it for us.
So traditional surrogacy is when the woman donates her egg and her uterus to carry a child for another family or another person. Gestational surrogacy is when the woman carrying the child has no biological link. So they're using an embryo from intended parents or a donor or that type of thing.
And it's just the vessel, so to speak.
Correct.
Okay.
And so we only focus on gestational surrogacy. So our the first thing that we do is we find women who are willing and passionate about helping other families, and then we go through the qualification process with them. It's a long process. We do everything from criminal background checks to psychological evaluations, medical evaluations, insurance review. There are many pieces to the journey.
And there should be.
As there should
Absolutely.
be. Yes.
Absolutely.
And so we then will match them with intended parents. And so we try to match them based on their goals and their values that they want in their relationship. As you can imagine, there are a lot of different factors in that. And so they each have a choice to work together. So we want to make sure that we're aligning those values, and hopefully, they're aligned. And then when they decide that they want to be matched and they want to work together, then there's a legal process. There's obviously a medical process with the fertility clinics. And so we guide them through the legal and the medical process as well. All the way until we have a baby.
Until we're all holding the baby.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Well, infertility is an issue that touches so many lives. It can be a struggle for individuals wanting to become parents. Can you tell us some of the latest numbers around infertility?
Sure. Infertility strikes 1 in 8 couples, or about 12% of married women.
Oh, wow.
It's that high?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you don't hear about it a lot because I think that many people suffer silently.
Yeah.
There's not...
Could that number actually be higher?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, those are numbers of people who are actually seeking medical intervention.
Exactly.
So I'm sure there are many more who are out there
Right.
who are just trying, or they don't have the means to, work with a fertility specialist. So those are just those who are seeking medical intervention. There's not, you feel very alone. I can speak personally to that. When you're in that situation, you're not able to necessarily talk to your friends or family about it, because it is such a personal issue. So that's one of the things that I've really discovered that I want to help is bring infertility to the surface. Let's talk about it. It doesn't have to be a secret. If you get support from other people who are also going through the same thing, you are going to fare better emotionally. It's also financially devastating as well. Most insurances don't cover infertility treatments. That is increasing. However, most of the time it's out-of-pocket expenses, and it can be very expensive.
Well, surrogacy is a great option for obviously families who are looking to bring little ones into the family, and that includes same-sex couples. So, what do you typically tell people the first time they come into your company? Like, how does it start? What does that process look like? And what do you tell people if they come in and they're not sure, or they're wavering on it, or they just want to learn more? What's that first step with you all?
I will say that typically most intended parents know that they're going to have to use surrogacy because they've suffered loss. Or, like you mentioned, same-sex male couples, if they want to have a biological connection to their child, surrogacy is also an option for them. So typically, they know that this is a route that they have to take. They just need to explore because, again, it can be so costly. So one of the things we talk about is what they're looking for and what they've been through. So I want to understand their story. I want to understand if they've had loss in the past. We want to make sure that we're sensitive to that. We want to make sure that we're really walking them through, holding their hand through the entire journey and offering them that personal service that they need. A lot of times they've experienced hope and then heartbreak, and then hope and then heartbreak. So we don't want to offer them hope again.
Well, and before that segment, we were talking about Kim and Kanye because they are, mainstream media. Kim had a surrogate for her latest baby that she's had, and it was mostly due to a medical issue that, she couldn't, her other pregnancies were really tough, and she couldn't manage to carry another baby on her own, so she went that route. And I think that's really, that's put a spotlight on surrogacy, and it's educating a lot of people as to what it is, and it's not something to be ashamed of. It's not something that you need to, hide or be afraid to speak up on. So what are your thoughts on that? And do you think she's done a good job shining a light on it?
Actually, I do.
Good job, Kim.
Yeah, right.
I'm sure she's watching everybody right now.
I do think that, anytime there's a famous surrogacy story, it always makes you a little bit nervous because, we do a lot to make sure that we're ethical in this field and that we're above board. And so you just want to make sure that nothing's going to jeopardize, helping these parents' dreams come true. And so, I think Kim handled it with grace, and I think that she has been very open about it, which hopefully will help others feel that they can do that as well. And so I'm thankful for Kim and Kanye.
Wow.
You actually said that.
Wow.
Sorry.
Things I never thought I'd say in my
So
life.
that's the first
And the
time on
baby
Edge
is
of Indy.
beautiful, by the way.
Yes, she is. And I think Kim did a really good job also of explaining it was a gestational carrier. So it was her and Kanye's embryo. And one of the things I read just the other day, there's a lot of issues around sex selection when it comes to your embryos. And she said, we just said we want to transfer the healthiest embryo. And so I think just having those conversations, even if they're from a celebrity, it helps.
Still counts.
Yeah. Surrogacy is increasingly common because of scientific advances, medical advances, and also because it's brought to the light by celebrities.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about earlier Indiana not being considered a surrogate-friendly state, and that's changing, and you're helping change that. Why the stigma? What is there a stigma of surrogacy, and why would Indiana or the Midwest be reticent?
Sure. I think there's a couple reasons for that. Number one, we do have an antiquated law in the state of Indiana that says that surrogacy agreements are not enforceable.
Oh,
Really?
However, yeah. However, when that law, and I'm not an attorney,
you're just playing one on TV,
right? Literally. When that law was created, there was no such thing as gestational surrogacy. It was only, it was referring to traditional surrogacy, which the woman has the biological connection.
Right.
There have not been any disputes in any of those agreements for that law to ever be overturned. However, there have been other cases that haven't involved the agreement, but have favored the biological parents in surrogacy situations. And we are able to obtain a pre-birth order for our parents. So what that means is when their carrier is pregnant at about 20 weeks, the attorneys petition to the court that even though the carrier is giving birth to the child, she is not the mother. The mother and the father or the parents of the child are, and then you list the intended parents' names, and they're able to get an order before the child's even born so that the birth parents are actually on the birth certificate. So there's no adoption process,
Oh, wow.
which that is the case in some states. So, and the other reason I think is because this is the Midwest. We're not necessarily known rightfully or wrongfully as being progressive. And so when you add those two together, I think that it just was a misconception that we weren't surrogacy friendly. But it happens here. It happens quite frequently.
Oh, and that's the good news, is that it does happen frequently. And it's just a shame to have that type of moniker for Indiana, because it's all for the children.
Right.
It's all obviously for the parents, but I mean it's an option that so many parents direly need, and to have even a perception of unfriendliness, that's a sad testimony, and we certainly we appreciate organizations such as yourself to be able to help demystify it, educate, as well as embrace this option. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. There are states that have banned surrogacy. There are other countries that have, and you'll find differing opinions on it. But
There are still states that have it banned?
there are states that outlaw being compensated for being a surrogate.
That astounds me.
And to be honest, again, I'm not an attorney, but there
Still
are,
playing one on TV.
Yeah, right. There are plenty of unfriendly surrogacy states,
Wow.
and
Name two.
Louisiana, Michigan.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So,
Michigan? Seriously?
yeah, and New York.
Wow.
Although I think that's about to change. So, anyway,
Wow. There's no edge of those states right
no,
now.
we're better than them.
Yeah.
but it is a family building option,
Yeah.
and it really helps someone achieve their dream of becoming a parent, and there's really no other simpler way to put it.
Fantastic. Well, you're always seeking caring and qualified gestational surrogates. So you really work with couples and individuals to find that right connection. So what is the process?
Sure. So, if someone would be interested in becoming a gestational carrier, obviously they would submit an application with us. You have to have carried a child before. You have to be raising that child or have raised that child.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. You have to be healthy, non-smoker, non-drinker, no drugs. You have to have a clean criminal background. And from there, like I said, you would go through, a myriad of other evaluations, psychological, medical, criminal background check. And the process, we always say, is hurry up and wait. So it takes a while. And then once you've cleared all of those, you would then be presented profiles of parents who you could potentially be matched with.
Is there an age range for surrogates
Yes,
that you shoot for?
21 to 42
Okay.
So, and we can go higher than,
Sure.
what you would normally consider a healthy pregnancy because we're just using the uterus. We're not using the eggs of the
Just borrowing space.
Yep.
Just renting.
extreme babysitting.
Extreme babysitting.
Yeah.
It's a 9-month job there.
Yes. And then once they have profiles, the parents and the carrier, they both need to agree to work with each other or at least meet. They meet. They also meet with a psychologist to discuss all of the psychological issues and how they want their relationship to go.
Right.
And then you go through the legal process, which is setting up that agreement between the parents and the carrier that outlines all of their responsibilities throughout the entire journey. And then there's the medical process. So if they've got embryos created, then they'll do an embryo transfer. And then 2 weeks later, hopefully we have a positive pregnancy test.
Wow. What a journey.
It is.
It takes a village and a lot of time and resources
And,
to get it done.
True.
These caring ladies have said, this is the most life-changing journey that I've ever been on.
Yeah, I was going
And
to ask you, it must take a very special person to be able to do this.
yes, you have to have a heart to be helping someone else become a parent. And if you're a parent and you have that heart, then I think you want to be able to give that gift to
Provide that.
someone else.
Oh,
I love
very
it.
cool. Very cool.
It's awesome. We definitely want to get the word out about
You
that.
must have heard so many incredible stories. And you've been open for a year, but I mean, you're doing such great work. How has that touched you personally?
Well,
Do you cry every day at work almost probably?
every time a baby's born.
Every time you have like a connection between a surrogate and I would just cry all the time.
I'm amazed every day. I'm amazed that the intended parents that I meet have the strength to move forward and explore this option after the heartbreak that they've been through. I'm amazed at these surrogates who have the heart to help another couple. They're literally changing their life, their family's life, every single day.
Wow.
And so I am very fortunate and blessed to be doing this work and, being able to build families. There's nothing better.
I feel like you get to work with kind of the best of the best people because they're all, just such big hearts and they are looking for this deep connection. And, you probably got no bad people coming in your office, which is nice.
Let's hope not. It takes all kinds, but
That's true. That is true.
no.
Well, we certainly wish you all the best luck in the world, and we know that you're going to be coming across more and more incredible stories in your career, and it is an incredibly viable option and such a needed option for some parents, and a lot of times you're the only option to be able to have a child in their life, and it's a huge factor, and we want to give you as much support as possible to raise awareness because Indiana, we want to lift up Indiana as a state that can provide this solution for parents or soon to be parents.
Will you come back and next time you do, can you bring a baby?
I'll ask the parents if they'll let me
They
bring
can come too. I mean, they can come too. You don't have to take the baby. They can all come.
Maybe we'll have someone who
Well,
would
she
love
saw
to
what
share
what
their
we did to
story.
the cheese here earlier. I think they'd be kind of scared. Anyway.
I do love babies almost as much as I love cheese.
All
so-
right.
Oh, my Lord. Well, any final thoughts for couples or individuals who might be interested in learning more?
Well, a couple of things. I just want to point out some support resources for people who are going through infertility. I know, like I said, I felt very alone, and I know many people do along this journey, but there's an organization called Resolve. It's the National Infertility Association, and they provide advocacy and a hotline for, talking about these issues.
Right.
There's another organization called Fruitful Fertility. It matches you up with a mentor. I'm actually a mentor through that organization as well.
Oh, cool.
So anyone suffering, there's no cost. You just sign up and you're matched based on some of your similar experiences. And then there's also some online support groups. Daily Inspiration, I believe, is what it's called. So you can have some anonymity there if you need that. But I would just encourage anyone who's going through the infertility journey to get some support. It helps.
Absolutely. So let's make sure our listeners know where you're located. Online is you're found at familychoicessurrogacy.com.
No, Family Choice Surrogacy. That's one S.
That's one S, not two.
Yeah,
All right.
That's one.
Family.
It's
on the screen, so I probably
So
could just
everyone can confirm that has
point
one
there.
S in it.
All right. Family Choice, not choices, surrogacy.com and facebook.com/Family Choice Surrogacy.
Nailed
Twitter, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's been a long show.
I know.
Twitter, FC Surrogacy, and Instagram, Family Choice Surrogacy. What's one thing that surrogates need to know if they're wanting to get involved to be able to help these parents?
Just one. I would say
Okay, I'll give you three.
do your research.
Mm-hmm.
Be prepared to lose some privacy a little bit because we need to know everything about you, and be prepared for the best journey of your life.
Oh, thanks for what you do.
Thank you.
You're a special lady. I can tell.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I appreciate it. And thanks for everybody watching the show and listening to the podcast. Thanks for everybody who was able to produce this show today. Be sure to go rate us and give us some reviews on the respective podcast platforms. We always look for some feedback from our audience, and let us know who should be on Edge of Indy next show. So this is Aaron Sparks, as well as Brittany Simpson saying goodbye, and we'll talk to you next week. Remember to choose local and choose local often. All right, bye-bye.